keep talking. What we're going to talk about then? I guess. Oh, we're just friends, so we just can hang out there. Hello, we are live, and Tim has joined us.
Hello, Tim.
There's no professional intro this time. We're just rolling with it.
Well, I screwed it up for you. I just started talking. I'm sorry.
That's great.
That's what she said you should do. You're a good order follower. That's all. That's all.
I want to get to the point where I just show up and then I click record and you guys do all the work and I can just sit and listen to you chat for an hour and then click off when.
Well, that's what you do with. Isn't that what you do with Kevin?
Yeah, basically try to get it working edgewise.
You go do so. Well, you go out. You go and do your thing with Kevin, and we do the real work in the comment section.
Chat.
Yeah, we'll create a second show in the chat.
Yeah, people are like, don't they talk to the chat? I'm like, no, the chat's their own thing. Like, I like that dynamic, and I like the fact that we just sort of sometimes we'll check in on you, but mostly we just.
Oh, Kevin always checks in on me.
Yeah, he gets special treatment.
I get special treatment, but I give it
teacher's favorite.
Yeah, well, if you call it getting told to go fuck myself, which I suppose
your jargon,
lovingly
special in one way.
So, yes, hello everyone. Welcome to this month's patron hangout with me, Kristi, and my patrons, who you guys know if you come and check us out on a regular basis. This time, though, if you weren't paying attention online in Twitter a couple of weeks ago, you might have missed that Alex Jones came up with a ridiculous conspiracy theory that the Democrats were going to start a second civil war on the 4th of July. Now, of course, Twitter reacts as it normally does to some of Alex Jones's more ridiculous things, but a woman was inspired, and I have to say I like the number of times in the resistance that I see women being the source of activism or reaction or whatever else. But a woman basically did a spoof on the Ken Burns Civil War letter that was part of his documentary series. And to just remember this month of our independence, I thought we would spend a little time reading from letters from the Second Civil War, just so that we all remember the deeds and sacrifices that so many soy eating warriors, engaged in. So, Tom, were you going to say something?
Just the people at the front, the troops, the forgotten men and women.
Front. Yes. So to start the show this time, you guys have picked out some. I also have some. So why don't we have you guys start off reading them? Jonathan actually recorded something for me, but because I ran out of time and decided to move it over here, I asked him to do it again. So all that time and effort, but in exchange, you get to go first. So would you like to relate? I was also thinking it might be appropriate if one person or the other wants to do the battle hymn of the Republic or something softly in the background.
I could do that. That's my field.
Yes.
So when you're ready, Jonathan.
Right. A reenactment of Second Civil War letters from Steve Reeves. Actually, let me screen share that so that we can see it as well. No, there's Chris. Okay. Dear Sis, Red Hats, a gained advantage surrounding us with huge TVs playing Fox News. We retreated and took shelter in a library. Fear not for our safety, for even through the doors they open, they refuse to enter. Doubly safe, I am in the science section.
I'm rolling Chris down. I'm auto editing. Just ignore anything I do on the mics. I'm just mixing the audio here.
Is from Mattis Jones. Dearest, after months of training to willful ignorance objective reality, I finally managed to infiltrate the Red Hats. The brief was to attain counterintelligence, but it seems that won't be necessary. Everyone here is already counterintelligent. Love. And then finally, from Mike Kelly. Unit has never nearly overrun by MAGAs shrieking, "Lock her up!" One broke through our ranks and fired a Second Amendment beam at me. I returned fire with regulated. I watched the life drain from his eyes as he slowly repeated, "Got her email." War is hell. This has been a dramatic reenactment by Jonathan Michael Scott. Some random. Thank you.
I'll go next because I've only got it queued up, one thing queued up, and if I don't take it, somebody else will.
All right, go ahead, Tom. I'll lock on you.
This is from Michael Land. Dearest Tedison, our rations are thin, and I am only allowed one Frappuccino a day. Our blue stronghold of Atlanta is overrun with red caps. General Isaacson is steadily approaching, and we must prepare for battle. Our forces are small, but heavily caffeinated.
So, Mariana, are you ready to do yours?
Yes. Beloved, we have reached Fort Indianapolis, where the Holy Family has been captured. What manner of evil is this? Pray for strength to resist such horrors.
Sorry, I was getting mine up. Okay, I'll do a couple, and then I think that's unless is that Tim?
Yeah.
Tim, did you have one too?
No, I didn't have one.
Okay, it's all right. It's in the group. It's in the group. So if you didn't see it in the group chat, it's okay. I've got a couple extra I can read out.
I did write one of my own, but
Do you have one of your own?
There you
go,
go.
Chris.
let Tim go. Let Tim go first.
I don't think Tim has this one.
Oh, he
Tim
doesn't
came to
have one.
class. No, Tim came to class unprepared.
Yeah.
I know
Well, Canadian would be in Canada. That'd be the first Civil War.
That's true.
We didn't have one.
We managed to impress into service, Mariana.
not in the way you'd think so. Was it more of a quiet thing in like the 1830s, I guess? Sort of was violent.
Very Canadian.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it, we had a few over here.
Oh yes.
True.
You had that one
All
for
right.
30 years. That was a big one.
So, Chris, are you ready to go?
I more or less.
Okay.
I'm gonna read from my Pride notebook here. So this is
Yeah, go ahead.
very specific to the situation here. Ready?
Yep.
From Chris A. Deep within the enemy lines, managed to battle myself through the protesters in front of the Pride Center for my HRT treatments. Shots were ringing through the window. Earlier in the morning, I got completely confused on which bathroom I should be using. I haven't peed in days. Please help.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I can do another one. I found where it was. If you want, I can do another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can just make one up maybe off the top of my head because I think I know what you guys are going for.
Yeah. Yeah. This is from Derek. My dearest. At first we were scared of the enemy artillery, but then we realized he can't speak. Derek is a mumble mouth. But then we realized his trajectory math was based on the Earth being flat. We relaxed. Their shelling has fallen woefully short for days, and then they refused to recalculate. With love, Derek.
I remember that one. Okay.
All right. I want to go.
Okay, yes, you should go.
All right. Okay. Darling, ready? Darling, while this war has been tiresome, I don't expect it to last. Red Hat casualties are mounting. They choose not to treat their wounded brethren. Instead, they just scream, "I'm not paying for your health care!" and leave me for dead. Yours always, A.
Yeah. I like that last bit. We offered them thoughts and prayers.
I found one more from the group, so unless anyone else has any more, I'm going to read one more.
Go ahead. I have another one teed up if we're still into this.
Okay, it's from Tess. Okay. Oh, wait. Actual screen shares. No, I would just like read it out. Ma and Pa, I wish you could see the folly of your vote for Emperor Tiny Hands. You meant well, but were mistaken. Please stop seeking validation on Fox News and join me at the polls in November to curb this man. Oh, wait. That is a call to arms.
All right, Tom, did you say you had one more?
Yeah, I actually haven't.
I did my grand finale.
Yes.
Someone else
Thank you,
sing
by
that.
the way, Flourish.
I found the group, so I just gotta find one. I wasn't done yet.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'm gonna do one out of character. Well, you decide. From Tanya. Since I'm a black woman, I was immediately accepted by the Red Caps as a cook. Dumped extra spices in food. Then took all of their antacids. Finished them off. Mission accomplished. I think that's the first time I've been a black woman. I kind of like it. Black women rock.
Yeah. Yes. White people get used to spices.
Yeah.
God. Even basil or oregano. Come on. Your food is bland. Oh wait.
Well, I've only been a Hispanic woman for a couple of weeks now, so.
Yeah, well, you have the experience edge of me.
There was one that was my favorite. Oh, I found it. This is it. Ready. Okay. So, I wanna have my go. I think, is it still locked on Tom? I'm trying to switch between screens here. No, it's not.
Let's see. No, it's not locked on Tom.
Oh no! I just lost the page. Damn it! Hold on. I clicked on the wrong thing while I was trying to switch between them. So now I have to go forward and try to find it.
Jen, did you see? So you found it?
Oh, I found it. Here we go. Sorry, I'm ready. Sorry, I'm sorry to have failed you guys. All right, here we go. Dear General Rodham, we have gained on the enemy by building a wall of your emails, which we can't get over.
I just saw. I was going to read that one, but
That's my favorite.
can I read more?
That's my favorite.
I found one. Can I read one?
Sure. Yeah.
Please.
General Sanders, the medics are trying to save the wounded redheads, but they'd rather die than have free health care. Please advise. That's my really bad
Socialism. It's socialism. Let me die, capitalist.
That's hard for me to read because we have free health care.
Yes, you.
Remember, socialism is the workers owning and controlling the means of production. That's socialism. That's it all essentially. Anyway.
Unless it's on Facebook, in which case they control the memes of production.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I found one more. Well, no, Kristi, do you still have one? Does anyone else?
I did mine. I was the wall of emails that they couldn't get over.
Okay, I found another one from Claire Smith. Dearest one, I embedded the troops at Bowling Green. It resulted in a massacre. I attempted to get pictures, but had no way to get power to the microwave. Alas, I must find a way to get back safely. I need some warm cafefe.
Hitting the classics there. Kellyanne Conway classics.
I haven't seen her around lately. I wonder what she's up to.
Oh, she's still around.
Yeah.
She's still around. She's as bad as ever. Maybe even worse.
Yeah, that's the thing with there's so much going on with this administration. Just like, yeah, we know about the Helsinki summit and that whole thing, and yet we still forget that like there are still children that have been separated at the border that have not been reunited to their parents. So there's a lot of crap going on. So what happened to Kellyanne Conway that gave us alternative facts? Who knows? Senator Sanders is lying to the press conference right now. That's all we kind of. There's so many things to talk about.
It's not so it's not a civil war. It's an alternative voting process.
Yes.
Oh my God! I wish we had an alternative voting process because then Trump wouldn't be president then.
Yeah. We actually had AV.
Yeah, rank voting.
Or just a straight up vote, right? President, right? Straight up vote instead of the electoral college is what I mean. Because he would have.
No, the Trump administration is like standing in a wind tunnel, but it's just they're pouring manure in front of the fan. And it's 4 years of that. It's 4 years of just having shit blown in your face. Every time you try to look up at it, it's just
maybe 4 years, maybe not. We'll see.
It feels like 4 years already because remember there was the campaign leading up to the 2016 election, so that was also a thing.
2015. Yeah, it's been 3 years already.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff about Obama and from Obama recently, and it's like, God, that was only 2 years ago. You know,
Fort Tunnel, that dead Vinny said in the chat. Fort Tunnel, I love that. Let's use that.
The thing is, when I see pictures of Obama, my emotional reaction is on par with like seeing something by Douglas Adams and realizing that he's dead, and just being infinitely sad that's over. And it's the same thing. Like the presidency is it's in the past. I'm grieving for it because now you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah. That 8-year thing. Oh, I hate that now.
But the baby was fun. The Trump baby was fun.
Oh yeah.
They're going to bring that to America, supposedly.
Yes.
I did hear that.
New Jersey.
Yeah, to Jersey. Because everybody else is orange there too, right? So it'll fit in nicely. Well, in the Jersey Shore, anyways, I suppose.
Orange and glowing green at night.
I hope it takes off in America and that people come to Trump rallies with like sort of balloon Trump babies on a stick. Or like at the hockey games, at the Badger hockey games, because like they would have like the Huskies or the Gophers or whatever who they were playing. And one of the chants that the Badger the student section would do is when they were behind the goalie of the opposing side, they would have a gopher on a stick, like with this like tied to a stick. And the whole crowd would start chanting, they point at the Badger goalie and say, goalie, Civ, gopher on a stick. Goalie, Civ, gopher on a stick, or husky on a stick. So maybe what we need is, goalie, Civ, Trump baby on a stick. Goalie, Civ, Trump baby on a stick. That would be good.
Yeah. One of my cousins had probably the best idea for licensing the Trump baby concept, balloon concept, and that was to make one of those standing balloons with the sand in the bottom for a punching bag. You could just punch that sucker for months.
Unless you like blow it up already within like 3 days or something like that, because of like this is for this and this is for this and this is for this. Okay, but quick for the live chat.
Yeah, there would be some turnover. You'd have to buy new ones every once in a while.
And before anyone goes on and on about civility, let's remember that it was the right last time who was like putting Obama on target practice signs.
Yeah.
But quickly from the live chat, Matthew is in the live chat. Good afternoon, everyone.
Matthew.
Sorry I can't be there. I'm in the rehearsal for a Midsummer Night's Dream. If I get a break, I will jump in.
Cool.
Oh, I wanted to play puck too.
Yeah, we want more butt cam.
Glad you said. I was thinking it.
See, we all want butt cam. We all want some of that Matty butt cam action. You might just have to make us like a recording and send it to us, and then we'll play it like it's live, just to get as close to his butt cam as we can.
Oh, hold on. Dead Viddy made a Dead Viddy from the live chat. What is more civil than a civil war?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess it's a civility war.
That's what we had in Canada was a civility war because it's how nice you can be to the other person. Out manner them, I guess, if that's the thing.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, like, the War of 1812, that was a embarrassment for, like, I think most sides involved, but mostly the American side. But yeah, if you ever want to, like, look at a piece of history, like, what the hell were people thinking? Go and read about the War of 1812 when we decided to attack Canada. That was such a stupid move. It's not quite, well, I guess, it's more sort of like getting on par with Trump.
They were like, hey, the British are fighting Napoleon, so let's, maybe we can take advantage.
I do live in Buffalo, so it is kind of like all over the place here. War of 1812 stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I have archaeologist friends that are still digging up bones from the battlefield sites.
Oh, wow. Well, my favorite tale, I mean, obviously there's a very famous tale from the War of 1812 where, the houses of Congress were burned. But actually, my favorite story is the fact that it was John Quincy Adams, I believe, who declared war. And then it took them, they decided to tell people who were on the front in the forts and guarding the borders after they declared war that they were going to war. But it took so long for one of the messengers to reach the uppermost part of like the Canadian border. The British learned that the Americans had declared war, and they had like sent messages up to Canada, and the Canadians were like, shit. So like, what are we going to do? Like, well, there's this one American fort. Let's go see if it's going to, if they're rocking up for a battle. And the Canadians turned up at the fort, and the Americans didn't even know there was a war on. The messengers hadn't reached the fort yet.
Oh my God. Okay. I have to look, and with that in mind, it's like soldiers showing up to enemy forts. It's when the enemy did not know they were at the war. From the live chat, Mike Yukon, would a civility war be everybody holding the door for each other with an infinite loop of, no, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go first.
After you, Alphonse. After you, Gaston.
No, after you. No, I'm a sis.
I think War 1812 it's sort of like the I guess the start point for where the British were like got the idea to sort of like unite their North American colonies into like what is now Eastern Canada. So that's the start point for me. Anyways. It took like another 50 years for them to get to that point, but
I was having on a random thought, building on that point. I was thinking about the whole Brexit disaster that's going on in the UK right now, and all of their hyperventilating over their borders and their immigration. And it seemed to me like, I don't understand. I hadn't heard anyone raise this issue, but one of the things that the UK could do to really reduce and control its immigration is just break all of its travel agreements with its Commonwealth countries and kick out all of its Commonwealth residents and treat them like anybody else. Right now you get a vote. If you're like a Canadian citizen, you're living in the UK during an election, you get to vote because you're a like, who does that? Right? Like, whatever you want to make people vote, that's fine. But, if you want to just take care of immigration, you can get a bunch of Australians out of there and Canadians out of there. But oh my gosh, they're white.
And speak English.
That's before my time though, but it did exist back in the day. I think before the 1990s. I'm not sure when they got rid of it exactly, but it was before I was able to comprehend that. I think, but my mom told me that she had one at one point, a Commonwealth passport. It was more legit than your Canadian one, I guess.
Maybe they have and they can't, but it was a big thing about Australians coming over and like working in the pubs and the restaurants in London to make a bit of money for like a year abroad. So
Leto's here.
Leto. Oh, sweetie.
Hi, babe.
Hello. You just missed us reading out the letters from the Second Civil War.
Oh, crap. Well, I just...
It's recorded live, so you can like watch it back and stuff like that. So how are you? We haven't gone to like how everyone's doing portion of the hangout, have we?
Oh, the letters, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I had a slight spillage. I was pouring my drink and I overflowed, and so thanks for taking over. But yeah, we can do a round of, hey, how the hell are you?
Much already, Kristi? Is that weird?
Yeah, I'm already hitting the bottle.
Well, since in the past month, July the 9th, I celebrated my birthday as I turned 34, and Tom turned 70 last month. I have a bottle of mead next to me in case I want to like get my drink on it. So Dragon's Blood mead.
So Jonathan's the designated drinker of the group.
Yes.
Yes.
Like some people have drivers. Yes.
I'm neither because I don't have a license and I can't drink alcohol.
Yeah, but he's our designated drinker, not our designated driver. His job is to do all the drinking for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I will have the robust. I will have the robust feminist liver.
I'll just have the bust.
There you go.
Okay, quickly from the live chat, as Definitely made a comment when you were talking, Kristi, about like the immigration and the Commonwealth thing. Wait, the UK getting less imperial? Question mark. And then John King, this is a good question. Ain't talking about the War of 1812? Ain't that around the time when the White House got burned down? I think that was.
It was in the war. It was in the war towards the end of it. Yeah.
Okay.
The British
yes.
did that though, not the Canadians. It's my.
So Tim, you're all forgiven. Then you did not burn down the White House.
Well, what happened?
He was friends with people who burned down the White House.
Oh.
Okay. I got the story quickly. What happened was the British finished off the French in the Napoleonic Wars in like 1815. So they came over. They're like their battle-hardened army, and then evaded the United States and burned the White House down and took over Washington. That's basically what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the British didn't defeat Napoleon alone, so.
No, I know, but the Russians, I know the Russians did, and like, and the Portuguese and the Spanish, other people too.
And there's Plato in her beautiful glory.
That's the thing about history. Sometimes you can just like focus on just like one story or one aspect, like one person, but yet when you like learn the connection to this person, a connection to this person, or a connection to this event, or a connection to this event, that's where it's just like the scope of like this one person in history just like widens, and you're just like, oh my god, there's so much happening and stuff like that. And that's true. Like if you're American and you look into the World War II and stuff like that, we know so little about World War II from like our schooling and like what we see in the media and stuff like that. We did not know of like all these other campaigns, these different places and stuff like that. You would not know anything about World War II, especially if you just played the Call of Duty games or any like video game and stuff like that.
Well, I've done disappearing down the rabbit hole. I started to research the Cologne Cathedral, and that led me to what was standing there before the cathedral, which was an earlier Romanesque church. And before that, it was like Roman buildings. And then the history of like, you know, the defeat in the Black Forest, of course, that set Gaul and Germany sort of on different paths in terms of what they would become. And yeah, it's just like now I've got all of this stuff in my head because there's just so much. You know, you pull at one thread and you're stuck to something else and you go, oh, that's kind of interesting. How does that tie in? And then suddenly you're learning about how stained glass is made and the architectural names for bits of the church. You know, so.
Oh, Tim has to go.
Tim, any last words?
I'm sorry because I like to talk about this because this is like one of my favorite things is history. So, but unfortunately, maybe some other time.
I'll bring it up next time when you're in the chat again.
Okay, I'll be here next month. See you guys. Bye.
Away from across the river.
Yep.
Well, maybe I can throw this question to everyone. So, what is fascinating to me, I guess, about one part of history, like what I'm learning about is understanding a little bit too about like the psychology of the Middle Ages and how people viewed the world. And also, I have to say, it's amazing to be able to go down to the cathedral. And there was something, I've lived in Cologne for 7 years now, and I had not seen it, but they have actually pulled back in one of the areas and sort of made it part of the walkway, the original Roman road.
Oh, wow.
And so you can see a section of it. It's like, I don't know. if I were to lay down, so maybe like 8 feet by 8 feet or so, it's a little bit wider than, like a normal person. And it's, and you can actually like walk on those steps and touch history in that way. And so I think that's, that for me, I really geek out over.
Yeah, I was in, when I was in high school, I probably mentioned ad nauseum that I spent a summer, or part of a summer in Austria. We took side trips. One side trip was to Venice, and coming into Italy, we came through a section where the ancient Roman Via Appia, the Appian Road, had been built, and they had restored. I don't think they'd even had to restore very much, but they cleared off a section of the Appian Way, and it was. I mean, it looked reasonably new. I mean, not new, but it looked reasonably unworn. And it occurred to me that what is, in 2,000 years, somebody picked out one of the, like the best built American highway, like one of the interstates, or the Autobahn in Deutschland. I wonder if there's going to be, what's going to be left of that. Probably almost nothing, because the material is probably going to be frost heaved, broken up.
Yeah, degrade.
The trees are going to grow through it. It's going to degrade. You'll find the material, but not much in the way of the thing, of any piece of it that you could look at and say that was a road.
Yeah, and your feet were stepping on the same steps that how many Roman soldiers and merchants and slaves and different people had stepped along in those 2,000 years. It kind of, for me, that would send a shiver down my spine.
Yeah, I have often when I was working in archaeology, or in grad school in archaeology, I'd be holding artifacts from anywhere from a couple hundred to, well, depending on what you call an artifact. I've held the Neanderthal what do you call it? Spine bone. I can't think of the name of it.
Vertebrate?
Vertebra. There we go. I held a Neanderthal vertebra in my hand, and I was thinking, had I been doing this 35, 40,000 years ago, I'd be reaching through this guy's skin into, ripping out his spine. And that would not be good, because they ran in packs and they were all smaller and very much tougher than me. But and I get the same feeling like when I see a spear point made out of stone, and I know how it's made, and I see the fracture, the ripple patterns from the cone fractures. And I know that somebody actually, that's there because somebody took another piece of stone, or maybe a piece of wood or an antler, and hit it or pressed on it and flaked out that little piece of the mirror image of that piece of stone, and left that ripple mark in there. And a lot of it looks just the same as the day it was made.
Yeah, and that person had hopes and dreams and loves and losses and everything else that we still have today.
Yeah, and we're also much tougher than
me. So, anyone else have a moment
there we go.
touching history that you like, whether it's American history or nature? I guess as we're talking about sort of the feeling of awe and wonder. I don't know. Is it?
Well, talking about history, that reminds me, I should read more of this volumes of books, Showa, History of Japan, because how important the history can be. And I will say the antithesis for the Mangaka Shigeru Mizuki to wrote these books. This is a comic book, so it's like a manga. He does drawings and stuff like that, and also incorporated his characters from his Kotaro series into the book. The reason why he wrote these books, is because in Japan in the 80s, they were hosting the Olympics, and the government of Japan was kind of like, World War? No, we weren't fighting in the World War. No, that didn't happen. You're thinking of something else. Basically, they just tried to outright deny the war. The thing with the author, he was like, essentially, motherfucker, I starved in that war. I nearly died. You're not going to like cover up history. I'm going to like tell it all. And he did. And so that's one of the kind of importance of history, especially with those who are trying to like rewrite it or like recreate it and stuff like that, or ignore important parts of it because it doesn't like make certain people look good and stuff like that. One quick thing I noticed, though, like I just barely started reading this. I'm only like a couple of pages in, but I was like noticing some things like in Japan, how it's amazing that like around the world there's like similar events. You kind of like see the same thing happening over again, like in Japan in like I don't know the date, like in the 1920s. Japan basically was like arresting and throwing into jail and punishing the Communist Party in Japan for the same things of being dissidents to the government and stuff like that. So as I'm learning more about communism and socialism, as I'm now identifying as anarchist, it seemed to like fascinate me, just like reading parts like, wow, just across the world, communism and socialism has been like being suppressed by the people in power and stuff like that. So that's one of the many interesting facets about like history. And I'll let someone else go.
Anyone else? The silence. Mariana, you
Crickets.
live with history all over. Do you ever stop and have a look at it or enjoy particular eras?
Well, I'm more interested in the social side of it and generally fed up that when people look at history, they only see the dukes, the earls, the princes, the queens, and so on, but tend to forget how the normal people lived. And so, yes, cathedrals and the like are impressive. But for me, there's always the question, how many people died to provide the resources to build it? Not just accidents among the builders, but what they
Quarries.
stole from the colonies and all that stuff. And in the 19th century, one of the Austrian emperors said that, okay, there's many monasteries and cloisters and stuff who own vast tracts of lands and do nothing with it. So he seized them and redistributed them. And so because they owned huge vast lands that just weren't used, and people needed this as farmland or something. And I think the son of Maria Theresia was one of the Josephs. She decreed that all children had to go to school. And that was in the late 18th century, if I'm correct. And her son said, okay, how do we actually do it that the children go to school? How do we get teachers? And then said, well, church people, these are choice. Train teachers or, you don't have churches anymore. And things like that.
Suddenly, education was big in the church.
Yes!
I would thought education would be big in the church anyway, because they wanted to teach their teachings.
No. there's an old saying we have over here. You keep them stupid, I keep them poor, said the Duke to the Bishop. This way we will rule forever.
Yeah, kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, your mentions about the workers is true. One of the things that, I learned watching a documentary about skyscrapers in New York when they were sort of being built in the early part of the 20th century was, before we had more safety regulations on construction, every $1 million that it cost for a skyscraper was estimated one person would die. And that's how they kind of figured it in, from falling or from, hot metal bolts being thrown at you and it misses and it hits you or whatever else. And even when they built a baseball stadium in Wisconsin in the early part of the 2000s or end of the 90s, 3 workers were killed when the crane that they were riding in blew over in a high windstorm. And there's a plaque there for them in the stadium to remember them. So yeah, it's certainly a building is all the lives, including the lives that would end up being taken or they died because of during its construction. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying too that a bridge demands a life, and that's I don't know if it's as bad as it was then, but that's reasonably consistent on big bridge constructions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the free market took care of all that, so fortunately we don't have to have those kinds of building regulations and inspections.
Oh,
I mean, it's just bad business to kill workers.
Bridges,
Nobody will, people stop doing business. The people who kill workers. You don't have to regulate that; it regulates itself.
Yeah, I mean, enough people die, and then something else will happen and a bunch of people will die and then maybe they'll fix it. Yeah, that's a good, just throw people in the way. That's fine.
I had construction across the yard. They were putting a new roof on the other building. And, if you work at height, you're supposed to wear a harness and lines.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
None of the roofers ever did anything like that. Mm-hmm. And usually you're supposed to wear hard hats as well, but no. And that's one of the things that always amuses me about the men's rights idiots who go, men die more in workplace accidents. Well, yes, because they don't wear their personal protective equipment most of the time. They're stupid like that.
It's almost like a Darwin Award, as though everyone knows what Darwin Awards are.
Yeah, that's like Jordan Peterson saying, I don't know what the rules are for men and women in the workplace, and then complaining because there's a rule that says you shouldn't shut your door when you have a student in there alone.
Yeah. And he admits he knows that rule. And
yeah.
He admits that he ignores it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of rules, Jordan? You have to follow them, and why should anybody pay any fucking attention to you?
I think that's why I came out trans, so I don't have to pay any attention to Jordan Peterson's existence at all.
That's right. He doesn't address trans people in the slightest.
Yeah, he does. Jordan Peterson doesn't exist.
Exactly.
There's no Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In one way, if you try to pin him down, if you try to find his center in that fog of miasma of verbiage he throws out,
Jello.
It's almost like there is at bottom. There's nothing there. I mean, it looks like something, but you try to find the middle of it, the reality of it, and other than not liking women and thinking he really doesn't know the rules that he knows.
And also, don't forget Dostoevsky.
Something Dostoevsky.
Yeah, a fictional book. That's the frame of reference for what atheists are like. A fictional book written by a Christian.
Yeah.
All mine are Shardik. That's such a obscure reference. Never mind.
That's a deep cut for some people out there who will get that. But yeah. So what else is going on, guys? Oh, Jonathan, we're gonna get the fashion show.
All right. What I'm wearing today, I am wearing my cowboy hat that I bought for $32 at that Seafair at like at a vendor in Seafair and stuff like that. And because I didn't have a cowboy hat, so that's my reason for some of my hat purchases. But then the T-shirt, inspired by the hangout that Kristi and I did with Kevin Logan and Pascal. Oh, Kevin Logan coined this phrase. I'm not a nihilist. I'm just the press.
Yeah.
This is from the PKB shop, and we should put a link into his shop in the description or in the comments and stuff like that. And now the leggings, it's just it's not going to top the leggings I said or wore before. It's just going to be very simple. Hasnumiko. Okay, no. All right, let me show the other leggings. There you go. You see a lot more Hatsune Miku, the Vocaloid, the Japanese recording artist. I saw her live in concert. So yeah. And I knocked over a bottle or something. That's okay.
You saw Cartoon live in concert?
Yes, exactly.
My daughter just went. Took a road trip to New York City to do that.
Mm-hmm.
See the Vocaloids. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an awesome concert.
I don't
She said
understand.
Actually, a very interesting video. The Idea channel. Mike, who hosted the Idea channel, one of the earliest episodes he did. He just did an episode of how Hatsune Miku being fake is more real to people than any actual living recording artists and stuff like that, because of how these pop artists feels more fake because of how they have to market themselves, or how they have to listen to PR people or publicists and stuff like that, and some of the publicity stuff they do. While Hatsune Miku, we all know she is fake. She is not real. She is a computer program and stuff like that. But that makes it more real to some people. So that's an interesting video. I should
kind of like the Gorillas.
Mm-hmm. Or Death Clock.
But this is also because I've been also trying to stay on top of popular culture, watching the Explained series by Vox on Netflix. And I watched the one on K-pop. So when you talk about, so now I have a frame of reference because the studios control the roles of the artists, and because the band members belong to the public, they're not allowed to have public relationships, and they're not allowed to be, naughty and raunchy. So in an oppressive social structure or system of control like that, then an animated person who can actually do more human things than human beings in that system can make sense to me. I got it.
God, what a political comment.
How I found the Vocaloids is after they did that 3D image thing with Tupac at South by Southwest. I wanted to see. I said, I bet Japan has already done this, and I actually went looking for it to see if Japan had done any 3D things, and I found this song that blew my mind in concert with a 3D box in the middle of the audience, and it was just and I brought my daughter in immediately, and so she gets to go to the Vocaloids concert, and I stay home. She said it was a girl's day out. She said it was a girl's day out. I say, do you notice what's new?
Yeah, girls. But that's cool that you got her connected to that, and that you guys enjoyed it together.
And actually, what you said about I didn't see that Fox video, but now I'm going to go back to watch it. But I think that's the same thing that's happening to Japanese pop idols, J-pop idols, where the characters or the idols themselves are owned by the public, so they can't have normal lives and stuff like that. And I think in one of my favorite movies, Perfect Blue, they kind of touch on that a little bit. But Perfect Blue is goes into a direction with that as well, and just a fantastic movie in my opinion. It's a good horror movie. Anyway.
Yeah, the Vox bit on K-pop, in terms of the the morals of the society, I had a lot of recognition from the world from what's it called, Masters of Sex. I don't know if you guys watched that series about Masters and Johnson and the really oppressive 1950s value system around sex and the ignorance around it and the sort of purity of it and all this sort of like really mythical stuff as opposed to people's lived experiences of relationships that are hard and complicated. But yeah, so this there is a social change being driven by well, I don't know what you want to call it, appropriating, but certainly taking hip hop art and trying to push the boundaries of what could be acceptable in society. And also, I know that some of the songs that became popular got banned, but just like when Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood got banned from Top of the Pops in the UK, it just went to #1, you know, so it became more popular as a consequence. But it's interesting to sort of see Korea going through their version of what we did in the 1950s and 60s and 70s in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because go ahead.
Oh, cool. No, I've been speaking a lot. So you go.
I always talk. You talk. I like to hear your voice.
It's a civility war. No, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go
after you, Gaston.
Go first.
Well, one of the things I like about the K-pop, and I don't remember if it was touched on in the Vox thing or of the Vice thing, because Vice did a thing on it as well, is that it's becoming, it's helping the LGBT community a lot because of the
androgeneity.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, androgynous nature of the characters that are created, even with the girl characters in the K-pop, and the LGBT community is glomming on to these people because they have no one else as role models. In Korea, where it's still frowned upon, though legal.
Yeah, I think and since you mentioned that, I remember in the first season of Bill Nye Saves the World, the 9th episode, the gender episode, the one episode that like all the skeptics and like the people just minds blow because like, oh my God, Bill Nye's destroying the world. In that particular episode of the Netflix series, they did like cover Korea's pop culture or South Korea's pop culture.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so how they really just like not follow the like norms of gender or the constructed social norms of gender and just went their own thing. And that's how it's been like freeing for LGBT people and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, in a lot of ways, anime was very freeing for me. The way and you know. As I'm getting into more of the musical side of Japan, my daughter's getting more into the writing side, which is, you know, she's writing. So, and there was a very freeing thing in the way they treat the androgynous nature of the characters in a lot of ways, and I'm just like. For just the reference, all of this has been what's going on now is stuff I've been struggling with for 30 plus years. So it's it was not a sudden thing.
Of course, the recent efforts, that aesthetic of the androgynous figure being brought into She-Ra was not appreciated by some people on Twitter.
Okay, Thought Slime has like commented on that on Twitter quite a bit, and what was finding almost a little heartbreaking is that Thought Slime came out and said, "Wait a minute, all these guys that are complaining about the not sexy She-Ra that is in the new character design for the new She-Ra and stuff like that, are these the same guys that in my childhood would have beat me up or bullied me or make fun of me for liking She-Ra because, ooh, you like a girl show?" And it's in Thought Slime also like just shared on like Twitter how it's like later on, like Sailor Moon kind of like came into like later in his childhood, but he had to hide his love for Sailor Moon because of that bullying. And
even if it wasn't the case, though, grown-up men who whine about not having a boner for a child character is creepy.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And isn't there issues about them sexualizing My Pretty Pony too?
Oh,
is-
God.
Oh, boy.
There's fandoms that do that because unfortunately I know a lot of like because like when you look into like anime and just like, well, like, there's nothing wrong with like certain shows and stuff like that, but when you go into the doujinshi and the fandom, it's just like no, Cardcaptor Sakura is such a sweet girl. What you writers are making Cardcaptor Sakura doing is like making baby Jesus cry. Stop doing that. So it's just like in the shows proper themselves, it's fine, it's totally fine. But when you go into some of the fandoms, like for the Sailor Moon manga, the biggest fan base for the Sailor Moon manga in Japan, from what I've been told, is men in their 30s or men between 18 to 30s and stuff like that. That demographic, seinen. So there's that.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Pedophiles, yay!
Well,
Yes.
the thing is that these young men were coming of sexual age awakenings when people were drawing women, when male artists were drawing women characters like Barbie dolls.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so when they, think about the guys who talk about when they saw Leia in Jabba's, dungeon, and in her in that outfit was like, whoa, that was the first time they were like, got hot. And so when you have women from that era, I mean, think about when Bugs Bunny would get dressed up as a woman. It was
Bugs Bunny is hot. Come on.
Yes. So Marilyn Monroe, he's very much
Jessica Rabbit before Jessica Rabbit.
Yes, exactly. Right. So the idea of reimagining those characters in an androgynous way, and also not all women have those builds. So I would assume that She-Ra's primary demographic would be girls.
Yeah.
She-Ra isn't androgynous though. She's just a little girl.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
She's still growing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm interested in where the story. I'm kind of interested in watching the show now because, like, since the man babies of the internet are complaining about it, it's like, what are they complaining about? I want to like watch this. I have done that to like BattleTech. I've done that to like all those other things. What are these people complaining about? It's like, oh, you get to choose a third gender in this video game? Okay. And their hatred for something almost makes me want to like love it and be proud of the fact that like I'm a brony or stuff like that. So
yeah, I want to just thank these men because I don't think I would have watched Mad Max Fury Road if it wasn't for them. And the movie is fucking amazing. So I still haven't got why they were pissed about it.
Okay, it's because the subtext of that movie is that like what caused the world to like go to shit essentially is the patriarchal father figure, the man. I mean, the main villain is basically like Big Daddy in a sense.
Yeah, but it's just a dude.
It's just a dude, but they see themselves as that dude. So whenever they see them,
it's like Kylo.
Yes, whenever they see them, whenever something is challenging the worldview, they reject that. Which is why, like the Oscars, I can totally get why they voted for A Shape of Water to be the best picture because they can easily see themselves as a good guy, as either like that, like a cosmic spy, or like the like man who was the white man who was like helping the women like free the merp. But when they saw Get Out. The voting committee of the Academy, they saw, oh, wait, we, the white, good-natured, like, white people that are woke are actually the bad guys in Get Out. So they gave Jordan Peele the Best Director Oscar, which is totally worth it because it was his first time directing and it was a great movie, but they did not want to vote that the best picture because they didn't want to vote for something where they see themselves as the bad guy. Anything that challenges their worldviews like that, unfortunately, a lot of like people just like reject something that like that caused some introspection and stuff like that.
Just quickly before we move on, I want to say on the psychology of this and socialization. Right, in terms of childhood socialization, the images you see growing up, then these, well, not all men, but the men complaining about the She-Ra thing, right? They have this notion of what is appropriate. And when something is recreated from that and it doesn't meet what their expectations are, that it's resistance to change. So what they really want to do is just keep the 1970s into the 21st century and just keep bringing it forward and just always living in that. And the question is, can we have a modern version of things? Can we have a 21st century view of these characters, or do we have to always trap these characters in their original forms? Because that's only limiting us and the stories we can tell. So that's what I wanted to say.
Of course, the Bosom Buddies was my favorite.
I loved Bosom Buddies.
That was Tom.
As you can tell, yeah.
What was the opening song to that again?
Oh, I have no idea.
Billy Joel, wasn't it? I think it was was it a Billy Joel song?
Yes.
But it was the first time I remember hearing like a really famous
it was My Life by Billy Joel.
Yeah.
My brain actually went back to that.
Nice one. Thanks, brain.
Good.
So, Mariana, you had a sign you wanted to show?
Oh, yes. My mom was at a protest today.
Good mom.
What was the protest about while you're
against the CSU? And they had campaign. There's elections in Bavaria in the fall, and CSU has started putting up election posters, and it was raining buckets, and there were 25,000 people, even though it was raining buckets, and the CSU had put up posters that said yes to political civility and no to ausgehetzt, which was the name of the protest, which means no to
speak out.
Yes. And well, because it was raining so hard, people just tore off the bottom right corner and
yeah,
glued the CSU on, so it says yes for political civility and no to CSU, which is fitting.
That's a good use of
recycling.
Yeah.
Reusing.
Yeah, reduce,
found
recycle.
object art. Found object protest.
Wunderbar, as someone in the live chat said.
I have a good story about political civility, if you want to hear it.
Of course you do.
You should talk, because all of us talked enough.
A week ago, it was Bastille Day. So I wanted to remind everyone that Bastille Day is celebrating a riot, a prison break, and the literal beheading of the owning class. Civil enough for you, babes?
I'll take to that.
Yeah, the French know how to live well and do civility properly.
New. We're pretty fucked these days.
Yeah.
With you, Peter.
Ever since you put the guillotine away. I keep on that, because the guillotine is a sign of French culture.
I don't know where they are, okay?
Tom, we can get our own guillotines. I have my own sword. I mean, we can find other ways to separate people's political opponents from their heads. And Tim joined us back in the chat and stuff like that. What did I want to mention? Never mind. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Happy birthday to Michael Rollins.
Oh, that's right. Hello.
He's now
very
30.
much so. Happy birthday, Michael. Wow. You never know. There's no gray in that ginger.
That's interesting, because earlier this year, Kevin Logan on social media, I think on Facebook, said oh my god, I found a gray hair in my beard and stuff like that. And my one of my friends in real life also said the same thing. But come on, I have a gray in my beard, and I'm just 34, but I just roll with it, because it's a distinct look.
Yeah, fuck your beard, babe. You haven't seen my hair.
Yeah, I have hair in my beard. I have gray I have.
You've
Oh,
got
yeah.
a little bit of gray there, Tom.
No. I have a beard in my gray.
Yeah, do you have?
I have. There's a beard in there in my gray.
I don't know if it shows on camera, but where I'm shaved here, the gray is no, it's not.
I can see a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see when it
bit.
shines here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just here. The long hair are pretty. Yeah, no, they're gray too.
But yeah, you're starting to get sort of streaks of gray patches. You know, like the sort of like.
Yeah, but I'm not even 40. It's not fair.
Well, the oddest thing about being ginger, and I've talked with other people, is I went gray, then it came back in red, and it comes in gray or red. My eyebrows, which you couldn't see when I was young, are quite red, and my eyelashes are red now, and the beard I'm trying to keep shaved off is coming in way darker than I expected.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's not fair. That was gray. I could just conceal it. You know?
Oh, hey, are we gone long enough that Tim's back?
It's only half an hour class, so I thought maybe you'd be still here. But yeah, I got my first grades before 30. Actually, it was like 27 or 28, I think, something like that.
Yeah, same.
And some people, I guess it can happen at any point in your life. Like, there's like no set like onto the gray. You just get like one or two. I got like for a minute, it always starts like around your ears for some reason.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I got like this giant patch like right around my ear. Which, it sticks out, so I have to like dye it like incessantly because it just sticks out. But like the rest of it's like evenly distributed across my head right now. At this point, so you can't even notice it. So it's like okay.
I find the worst thing about my gray hair is I don't mind the color so much, but they are more kinky and wild, so they stick up a bit more. They look like Einstein.
They're more coarse. Like my mom said, like, oh yeah, do you notice they're real coarse? I'm like, yeah, I know. It's weird, but so.
Well, I went bald. I was going bald much before a long time before I started turning gray. So,
that's
why I started doing it.
That's why I got
more white than gray, though. Your beard is very white, not gray.
Well, now it is. Yeah,
it's prettier, I think.
Oh, thank you.
I hope mine gets silvery. I like the silver. I just like silver as a color. That should be used more often. It's like it should be more often used in anime. People who dye their hair should go with like a silver or something like that. I want to see that kind of look. I might be a little weird like that, but I think it'll be definitely different from the norm.
So you're too dark haired to have a white beard, Jonathan.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I was very dark, brownish black hair. So.
My aunt has a very classy salt and pepper, and so that's what I'm waiting for. And I've been waiting a while because it's ridiculous. I'm going to be 47 at my next birthday, and I still don't have a.
Oh.
I shouldn't really brag about how little
I didn't
hair I
think
have.
that, Kristi.
You're younger than me. I'm so pissed.
I thought you were like late 30s or like maybe early 40s.
Jeez.
You look younger than you. That's good. That's a compliment, I guess.
I'm one of those people where you can't tell what color the hairs are because I have a few that could be white blonde or just white. And I have really kinky black hairs, some red strands, and the most is some kind of dishwater blonde. And if I go after my grandmother, I won't be going gray anytime soon. My gran has less white hair than my mom.
My grandmother got her hair done in the 50s, and then it just stayed the same and the same color for like for decades. It was like I have no idea what. Maybe the bottle number I probably recognize, but yeah, I think she was always just rocking the same look in the same color.
You can do the same with my gran, but without dyeing the hair, but with a perm and hairstyle from the 70s.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my grand used the same haircut and the same color for, I don't know. She died at 88, and I think since she was 50, she had the same hairstyle and the same color. I've never seen her differently. It's fun.
My great-grandmother got tired of going to the hairdresser and getting perms when she was in her late 80s. So she said, okay, I'm getting letting my hair cut short and get a wig in my old hairstyle.
Good for her.
Yeah, so she had a pixie cut.
Okay, yeah.
And if she went to the cemetery or went shopping, she would wear her wig.
I love that. Very practical. Very practical.
Yes.
Very
The other day, my hair turned all gray. I'm so shaving it all. It's so cool, gray shaved hair.
I think that could be a way to, rock your old age, is to, just like go bald, shave it off, just like, hey, I'm standing with men who go bald.
Jonathan is starting to get interesting, babes.
I decided to wig out.
Nice one.
And from the at least the neck up, I'm going as Tom Baker right now.
I thought it was Tom Bombadil.
Because I just need a scarf, the leather jacket, and then the sonic screwdriver, and then I can just go up to guards and guards in the place I need to go into. Hello, pardon me, I'm a spy, and then just knock them out.
Wow, that's a nice looking wig. I like that.
Yep, it was. I have male pattern baldness in in my mom's side of the family, so it's just in case it happens, I know what to cover my head with.
Oh yeah, I had a widow's peak since 2024. And I have to use Rogaine to keep it from getting any worse on the top of my head. I actually it's growing back because I had a thin spot in my crown. It doesn't help the fact that my crown is really high anyway. It's
Tom is showing off his kilt.
Yes, it is. See, men can wear skirts.
Well, if you're a Scot,
and boobs.
It's not a skirt; it's a kilt.
I am a Scot, so it's okay.
No, it's a skirt. It's just a skirt that men wear.
It's a skirt that men wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure I got in my fashion show because it's the only, Geek has all kinds of different stuff to show every week. He's always new and different, and mine is old and traditional and normal.
We could raise money to get you leggings, Tom.
You can raise money for a lot of things.
Tartan ones.
Doesn't mean I'm
Tartan
going to wear much. Tartan leggings, that'd be great. And then my Scots Way, Robert Burns' Scottish poem about so anyway, Robert the Bruce.
What's the hat that they wear when they're doing their bagpipes? What's the hat that they wear? Do you know? It's got a special name?
Yes, I know it's got a name. I can't think of
we'll get you one of those too.
Yeah.
Why do bagpipe players walk while they play?
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm spinning a joke.
Because moving targets are harder to hit.
Okay, in defense of my great-grandfather, who was a piper in the British Army, the point of that's true, and it's a good point. But in the British Army, people trying to shoot him were the enemy, and they knew that, and they were still in front of the charge. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
There's an Australian guy who played the bagpipes, and I think his name is the Mad Piper or something like that. He plays AC/DC with his pipes, and there's fire, with fire in the bagpipes.
And he's got like
he's fucking amazing.
He's got like a dragon head on his pipes.
And he knows how to play too. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Last thing is I got my Scotland car badge decal. Alaba is the Scottish name for Scotland, the Gaelic name for Scotland. So, and the St. Andrew's cross, the that way cross is the Cross of Scotland, which is the white cross and the white diagonal cross in the Union Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The Psalter, they call it?
Psalter, yeah. There's actually a not a comic book, a graphic novel. There we go. Don't get old, your mind goes. Graphic novel called Psalter, and it's about a fictional Scottish hero with that name, who's formed from 9 sages of Scotland who committed suicide and and their blood flowed into this hero for Scotland. And the graphic novel goes takes the history of episodes from the history of Scotland from before the Romans through the Romans up to more modern days, and it shows him coming in at various points and taking some part in the action in a very, very fictionalized and fantasy Scotland. So I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it was fun.
Well, if anyone
and it wasn't anime or manga, so
yeah.
So I thought I got to do it. Go ahead.
That's what we talk about is animated mangas.
Well, that's what I talk about often.
Yeah, don't get him started, please.
I would just mention that I saw anime yesterday. American When the Flowers Bloom is from the writer.
And there he goes.
Okay,
I would mention that's from.
Okay, stop. Yesterday, fuck you and your yesterday. My yesterday, I was in the Twin Cities in Minnesota for the annual Minnesota Highland Fair and Games, Scottish Highland Fair and Games. My son and I were there. I was wearing my kilt, and we went and saw all kinds of neat Scottish things. We went to the Clandonald tent, and I took pictures of. I mean, I know all the stuff there, but I went and took pictures of it, and it's up on my Facebook. If anybody wants to take a look at that, you can see some of the stuff that we did. The only sadness of the day, well, 2 sadnesses of the day. One sadness was they didn't have any Highland, the wee carried coos, small hairy cows, the Highland cattle with the interesting horns and the long hair. They didn't have any of those. And the other sadness was that it was, I hadn't had any water for a long time, and it was beating down sun. It wasn't terribly hot, but it was very sunny, and there wasn't a lot of breeze. And I actually came close to passing out for the first time in a long time, which was kind of interesting. And that was happening at the very same time. Don't get old. I think I mentioned that.
Too late for me.
I know. Well, yeah. Look at you, youngster. But I had hip problems a long time ago, and I had hip surgery, and but now in the last year or so, it started to act up again. And yesterday it was really bad. We had to walk up a couple of hills. So yesterday was agony for me, and yet it was a wonderful day because I was with my son doing Scottish things.
Oh, I'm glad I'm glad you did pass out and that you're feeling better today.
Yes, thank you. But anyway, that's my story, and I may have actually interrupted Jonathan, if you were saying something.
To be fair, I told you guys interrupt me when I'm talking about anime, but I saw a movie yesterday from. I saw a movie yesterday from.
Yeah, I did
a
interrupt
writer-
you though.
But
From a
Jonathan was interrupting me, actually. Jonathan interrupted me, and then you interrupted him. That was the.
Well, that's what we do. That's how we roll.
Yeah. Anyway, Jonathan, go ahead.
Kristen, you have like control room power, so you can easily mute me if you want, and this is your hangout. But yeah, I saw yesterday. I saw an animated movie, Mary Quill, When the Promised Flower Blooms, and I was prepared for this movie because it was by the writer of a series called Anohana, The Flower We Saw That Day. She's actually one of the most prolific writers in the anime industry. But Anohana, The Flower We Saw This Day was special to me because that was watching the end of that series. Made me cry the most, and made my brothers cry the most. Even my Gamergator younger brothers cried the most because it was painful to watch. And so, the movie we saw yesterday didn't make me cry as much as on How the Flower Saw That Day, but it hit me in the feels. It's so much so I should call my mother. And I'll just leave it at that. Watch that if you have the chance. Mary Quill, When the Promised Flower Blooms, and stuff like that. It's in theaters for release on Tuesday and this week as most. So that's it.
Right. I remembered my comment. I didn't know that I would, but the comment was going to be that if you get to Edinburgh, you should see the castle because it's been sort of occupied by humans for like 100,000 years, and give yourself 3 or 4 hours because it's absolutely amazing. There's so much history there. You can really, just give yourself plenty of time, and it also makes it good value for money. And you can, like eat your lunch there and stuff too. So,
well, actually, you can spend all day or a day or two at the castle. There is, like you say, there's a lot of stuff to do and a lot of history to learn.
And they have a really good audio guide system. Really in depth as well, so it's not just like a cheapie, will last you 20 minutes. Yeah.
Did they tell you about the cobblestone walkway up the main part of the inside of the castle?
Well, I don't remember it if they did. So do tell us, Tom.
That was during the Napoleonic Wars. The French prisoners of war were put to work building that. So all those stones that you walk on. The cobblestones you walk on inside this massive monument to Scottish. You can say British, but you'd be
Scottish.
I'd be upset with you. This monument to Scottish history. You're walking on stones that were touched by French people in captivity. So make of that what you will. As I say to a French person in my audience.
And speaking of history, as we were mentioning it earlier, another book that I have not read yet, but thought Simon read it and thought it was like an eye-opening experience for like him. Howard Sims, A People's History of the United States. So just like Marianne was like mentioning how like history is kind of told of like the big historical figures, the dukes and the like all the powerful people. This is a history of the United States through the common people, through the workers, and through all those people and stuff like that. And Howard Zinn, who has also written other books, and it is an anarchist too. And so like I'm looking forward to reading this, and so it'd be a like fascinating read for me. So I just want to like interject a little bit with that as another history book, especially if like it's not alternative history because this is history in the United States, but is from a different lens or from a different perspective. And I think as we should all be willing to listen to, willing to learn, it's sometimes important to see things through other perspectives and to get a new sense of like that history and stuff like that, or the events that are happening. And to expand, to get a diversity of thought from getting more thought from diverse people.
Howard Zinn's always an interesting read. I would suggest staying away from Lewin though. If you read Howard Zinn, you'll often get reference back to Lewin. But Lewin's stuff is just so I don't usually object to a liberal bias because I'm far left of Bernie, you know, but it was just so wrong.
When you're so left, you can't go any further.
Yeah, And someone managed to go further left than me.
I think Bernie's to the right of everybody here, probably, in my book.
Probably.
Well, probably not Kristi.
Well, it depends on his issue on his opposition to identity politics.
Well, there's that.
There you go.
Economically, he's not left enough for me, but that's me.
Because he practices American socialism, right? Which is kind of a very...
I don't think American socialism is really socialism, because unless it is the workers...
I mean, it's not, but it's like...
Right.
It's a political ideology, so you got to give it, like, you know, its title at least, right? You know, that's what it's a thing, right? That people follow, right?
Yeah, democratic socialism, or like American socialism, where it's just like, and in fact, Little and I was having an argument with or just like seeing an exchange from like someone on like Facebook, where
I was arguing. You were
arguing, yes. Where it's like,
that guy was so freaking annoying.
We told him what socialism is, or like gave him answers, but he didn't accept them, and it's just like, and I'm sure he wasn't senile, but
I was just asking questions, and they have been answered. Asshole!
I could just, politically, I would prefer if people who supported Bernie would come out as social democrats, and that we would have a contingency of social democrats inside the Democratic Party negotiating with people who don't identify as social democrats, maybe because their districts are just too mixed, or they're more centrist, but they still more align with the Democratic Party, because the Republicans had the Tea Party and they had the moral majority, and they've always had this sort of subgroup pulling them to the right, and we don't really have a subgroup. We just have a lot of Democrats who fight fight and argue. So I think claiming the title of social democrat is actually a good way to go, kind of like farm labor in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, fellas.
The thing is, social democrats is a good definition, but it's not the same thing as democratic socialists.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a point that would have to be made, but it's better than people calling social democracy socialism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We can disagree on that. Yeah, I agree.
I think my untutored view of what's going on now is that there's an awful lot of energy in the there's a lot of energy in the democratic socialist area, but there's a lot more savvy and political acumen and probably political potential to get elected in the social democratic sections of the
in the US, definitely
in the US. And I think what we need to do is work to shift towards the I would like to see I'd like to see it shift towards democratic socialism, but I think we're going to have to at least get to social democracy.
I don't know if it's going to be possible in the US. Honestly, the Red Scare was really, really effective.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, there's also the state levels. Look at what California's doing, right? Look at what New York State can do. So if you have openly social democrats,
socialism.
No. But social democracy, I think, as Tom said, is a pathway to democratic socialism.
Yeah. Right. I do. That's why.
Social democracy would be a good thing for the US, I think.
Yes.
Then we'll see if they're prepared to go further. But I don't think so. But it's not really the point. The US is not like Europe. You have to get on your own path, and even social democracy would really, really be good. Having a true left in the country, a true left party that has the same weight as the two others.
But first past the post just makes that structurally difficult.
Yeah, that's true.
But on the other hand,
the problem with I'm sorry, Tom. You go ahead.
Okay, I think we have a political. We may have a political opportunity here that doesn't come real often. It probably comes once in a generation or two. That came from Republicans in the 80s with Reagan, and then just intensified through the through the rest of the until the Tea Party, and then now we got to the ultimate expression of the insanity of that with Trump and the people that are supporting him in the Republican Party. That's sort of the breakdown from that side. And I think we have an opportunity, if we can make the case, to make the 2018 midterms and maybe even heading towards 2020 to move that towards what's her name? Alexandria Ocasio.
Yeah, I was going to bring her up in a second. Yeah, you beat me to it.
Yeah. Okay, well, you can talk more about
yeah,
it.
She seems cool.
Yeah, I like her.
And there are other, and a lot of people like her because in a lot of even on the right, kind of like her, but because they don't know what to do with her. She's talking stuff that makes sense to them, but it flies directly in the face of what they have always considered to be the realities of their world, and yet it makes sense to them. And I think we're at a moment here where we might be able to actually break through some of the worst of the right wing crap and start moving to the left. And that's where the idea of I'm not a revolutionary. I would like to get there quicker, and I would like a revolution to get there, but that is not the way things probably are going to get done here without some terrible chaos and disruption and death probably. So I think the idea of moving, of taking this opportunity, this time, when it's pretty clear that that republicanism is screwed the pooch, to move in the other direction and to maybe fundamentally change the way that we look at the relationship between government and the people, back to, well, probably not back to much of anything, but to the point where we look at the social democracies in Scandinavia, and to some extent the way Britain was a little while ago.
Or
Tim,
Canada
you go
now.
first.
That's my 2 cents.
Just a little bit more about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. People actually refer people just call her AOC just for simplicity's sake, because her name is quite a mouthful a little bit. So I'll just call her AOC. So she's 26. She worked for Bernie in the 2016 election on his campaign, and then she beat that long-serving congressman, whose name I can't think about right now.
Joe Crowley.
Yeah, Joe Crowley. Yeah. It's a very safe Democratic district, but still, a 10-term serving congressman losing is a big deal, right? Because there's not that much turnover in American politics. So she's like.
Also, she's young. She's a woman, and she's left of that guy. So
she's Hispanic too. So yeah, that's another thing in her favor. But she's very savvy with the media, because if you watch her interviews, she doesn't get they try to trap her like that. Poppy Harlow on CNN, she tried to bait her, and she's was getting really angry. You can see her face getting really, really more animated as it went along. And then there's other interviews that she has that's pretty good. She can handle the media for sure. But there was one flub. She got asked about Israel, and then that minefield popped up. She's like, I suppose this is a solution, but then she's kind of the part that she got hung up on was basically the she called the occupation of Palestine there. That's a minefield, of course, and you can get into all that stuff, and people have different perspectives. But I can see how that's a hard issue, and it's now with recently they passed that law saying that oh, it's a Jewish state and everything, and and then the Arabs are really upset because they're Israelis too technically. Of course, I know they get treated like second-class citizens pretty much, and this is more, they're just codifying it more than it was just kind of more in practice. So yeah.
And what was her position on that?
She was I support the two-state solution, but then the interviewer asked her about, or she said something she mentioned the term occupied Palestine or the occupation of Palestine. And that's when the reporter's oh, what do you mean by that exactly? And she's oh, there's she kind of lost an answer. She kind of recovered, but it's like, you know how people like react to that, like especially in the United States, like it's like a minefield.
Yeah,
you almost don't want to talk about it because it's just like I hate having that debate with people about Israel because it's so people just like lose their minds about it, you know.
Yeah. Did she go back to 48 about that, or was she talking about more of the more recent?
It's just
discussions about two states.
Yeah, the Tuesday thing was was okay. You know, that's what most people say with that, but it's just like that terminology. It's the language more than like what she said. It was when people say occupied Palestine, they kind of like it sets a lot of people off because like, you know, there's the whole, you know, Hamas and them don't recognize Israel and all that stuff, and you know, and that land was, of course, it was called Palestine before 48 because that it was called the Palestinian Mandate or whatever, right? When the British controlled it post World War I until 1948. So there's no question that that's what it was called. It's just that it sets people off when people say stuff like that because it's sensitive. It's a very sensitive issue. So when people say, "Oh yeah, the occupation," you know, you don't recognize Israel and you recognize Israel's right to exist, it kind of goes like off in that direction. That's why it's problematic to say that. You know, not that she's wrong necessarily, but you know.
And that's the problem with like political discourse on media. I'm getting an echo. I don't know who's that from.
Does someone turn their mic off or something? Or sorry, their headphones off using external speakers?
Anyway,
it stopped. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, try again, Jonathan.
Okay, I've got
Tim.
I think it was Tim. Okay, yeah. It sounds like the echo has stopped. So I'll continue on board. The problem with like Cortez, like in that interview, just like waffling on the question, that's just a human thing anyway. We don't always have the answers. But the problem is when on the media and doing political discourse in like election times, this is all for show, and so the lizard brain is just going to see that as weakness, and maybe that would like cause some people not to vote her and stuff like that, or how like the right media, Fox News and stuff like that, just pounce on that weakness, and that's unfortunate that like our human brains can just not allow the questioning of things happening and stuff like that, and so my position of like the Israel-Palestines, I kind of side more with the Palestinians than the Israels. And that situation on just on that thing. So maybe a two-state solution is the best, but I don't know enough to like go in deeper into that. But I think on a general point of like, I will definitely fully support like someone like Cortez if she is the best option that like I have and stuff like that, because I'm going to advocate for anarchism, for like basically true socialism or true communism and stuff like that, because I'll be like so far left like most everyone else in America and stuff like that, that I'm going to be like the extreme radical and stuff like that. But having that idea out there and present, that might sway people to say, well, Jonathan's crazy. Somebody is crazy going for anarchism and stuff like that. But maybe this Cortez person and something like that would be interesting. And I'm all for like democratic socialism or socialist democracy as at least like a universal basic income or universal basic services as a kind of a bridge to go from the capitalist system we have now closer towards a communist or socialist system that I dream of and something like that, even though I know that within my lifetime capitalism would not be overthrown, especially globally.
Apparently in among the Libertarian Party in the US, there's a socialist caucus who is really rising. So maybe for people who lean socialist, anarchist, communist in the US, it would be worthwhile to research it. I haven't done a lot of research because it's not my country, and it's the Libertarian Party, so yeah. But apparently there's a communist caucus inside of it who is rising, and it might be worth looking at it, and that's all.
Figuring if the Republicans can organize libertarians, we can do anything.
That's true because, like, yeah, the American
libertarians are just anti-state Republicans, honestly. So
yeah, at this point, yeah, American libertarians for sure. Because, like, I have coworkers that are
the Freedom Caucus, they call themselves here.
Most ironically named caucus of all time. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're for anything but that, honestly.
I mean, if any libertarian says that, like, they are libertarian to me, unless they say I'm a libertarian socialist, it's like I would have like a huge like bookmark of that person. He's a libertarian and stuff like that, or they are libertarian and stuff like that. But unless they say I'm a libsock, it's like, oh, okay, then we can converse and we agree on many things and stuff like that. Okay,
that's funny because the word libertarian means something in all the world and another thing in the US. Like in Europe, it's a synonym for anarchist. Basically, it comes from the French word libertaire, which is a synonym for anarchist.
Yay! We get to talk about anarchism on this hangout. We did that a couple of times.
Let's not bore to death our non-anarchist friend. We have talked about leftism. Let's try not to be too pushy about it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Read the bread book. Read the bread book. That's it.
Favorite show is Left is Best. So.
What was that, Tim? I didn't hear the first part of it.
Oh, it's a thing from the majority port. They say left is best. It's like a thing that their fans started, and it's kind of like they always say it now. So it's like part of like their sign of like left is best.
Oh, okay. Hey, we need chants like that. We need the short, quippy arguments like how there's no ethical consumption on the capitalism and stuff like that. We need more like things like that on the left.
Well, guys, we've been going an hour and 40, and actually, I'm fine to keep going, but you just gotta keep talking, otherwise people won't watch.
Want to see my cybernetic scars?
Ooh, if you want to show them, sure, yes. Everyone can be on camera. Tim's not on camera.
I'm laughing a lot about it, but it's the most ridiculous scar ever. Look at that. That little thing here.
Yeah.
And I had an allergic reaction to the fucking Band-Aid. So you see a rectangular rash all around, which is the most ridiculous allergic reaction ever. Like, I get a little procedure that is so cool because it's changing my implant. So basically, I updated my cybernetics and it's very cool. And I get a rectangular rash from the Band-Aid. How fucking ridiculous is that?
I have allergies too, so I sometimes get like itchy bumps on like my arm, on my underarm, or some places, and I'm just like, what the hell happened to me? Did a bug bit me or something like that? I don't know. Why am I itchy? And then whenever I'm just like, why do I have this like thing happen to me right now that I didn't know happened? Then my brain goes back to a Simpsons clip of like, why was I programmed to feel pain? And that's played in my head every time I get an ache or get like a itch or get like a headache. It's like, where did that come from? Body, why are you hurting right now? But I know that other people get that more often than me. So like, I have privilege.
I don't know. Allergies are weird.
I think you need to get some cocoa butter, Tom. Or Jonathan.
What's that?
Jonathan, you need some cocoa butter and just like lather yourself down and keep your skin all like hydrated, and then you won't have that problem.
Moisturize, babe. Moisturize. Moisturize me. Moisturize me. This is a Doctor Who reference.
Oh.
I think Tom and Leto would join me in saying
What's your reaction?
You want to know some pain? We'll wait till you get older, or get hit by a car.
Look, there are bumps on my skin.
Yeah.
No, but we're used to our pain because we're used to it. You know what I mean? I'm used to my pain, but I had a blister here because of the Band-Aid, and that fucking blister was fucking awful. I am in pain 7 days, 20 hours, 24 hours, 24, and that fucking shit here made my life hell for 2 days.
Yeah. Sometimes it's those nagging little things that.
Yeah, because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Since my wife is new to Canada, whenever a bug bites her, she like swells up like crazy. Like it's like I'm because you're not used to the bugs here because you're from a far away part of the world, and you know eventually that'll stop. I think once your body gets used to getting bit by the mosquitoes here, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, in Korea too. I get sick the minute I got there, and then and sometimes when I get bit by a mosquito, it swelled up like crazy too because you're not used to those kind of bugs.
Yeah, just have to like put toothpaste over it. That's what I do for mosquito bites and stuff like that. Or oatmeal, something that's like it's wet when you apply, but then it dries off. And like this is just from what I heard, so I have no proof of this.
I won't make that joke.
Do it!
Do it! We can get raunchy on this.
I've already made the joke by not making the joke.
Yeah, I remember we used to have chamomile lotion, which came in this. It looked like it came out of the 1940s when my mom would get it, and it was like sort of pink liquid, sort of thick liquid that we dab on. Yes, and it had a particular smell to it, and so for me,
Didn't
that
work
was
for
like,
shit.
associated with summer.
Yeah, it's
we
what we
used
had.
chamomile too when I was young. You know, when you get infections in the eye there and it makes your eyelid all red and swollen. I don't know how you call it in English, but you know what I'm talking about? It's
red and
super
swollen.
itchy. It's awful. And you put a cotton tampon on your eyes soaked with an infusion of chamomile. And that shit is fucking effective. Plants are our friends.
I don't know how everyone else's like Pride Month happening was how everyone else's Pride Month was last June or something like that. But like basically on the very last day of like June, a close family member of mine basically came out as like asexual. Well, not really asexual. He is heteroromantic and demisexual. It's a spectrum thing. So then he just like post like a long comment on it below and stuff like that. So hey, that's cool for my close family member that they're essentially like asexual. And part of that the part of that he did say came out basically last month was because of the ace erasure that was happening in certain Pride LGBT circles and stuff like that. So
almost all. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
The well,
if you're biromantic, you sorry, go, babe.
Oh no, I'm not entirely sure what I did for Pride Month.
You know, I could probably make a guess.
So what you did there? I did nothing because I don't feel welcome. I have given up on Pride years ago. It's too much work, and they don't have wheelchairs. So.
Leto, you've been, and Tom and Jonathan, you have been so kind to me this since I've been public, but I came out to my friend, people I know who are bigger than my screen. During Pride Month this year. Yes, you're very. It's a big screen, but you know.
And look how fabulous you look.
Yeah, I mean,
rocking that lipstick, by the way.
Yep.
That's why I was about to comment on that.
Sorry, Jonathan, I'm going to interrupt to say, I'm just, when you were talking, I was thinking back to how you used to be on screen. And comparing that you now where you're gesturing and smiling and talking and enjoying yourself. It's really it makes me happy to think back to see how far you've come.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you. Don't make me cry.
Okay, so
if you don't cry, it's not a show.
So, Chris, did you wear lipsticks because you were sexually aroused or something like that? Call back to Jordan Peterson and stuff like that.
Oh no, we were having a good time, and you had to say
No, it's because he wants his cheeks to look like apples.
And I'm not. Yes, exactly. I didn't put on any blush because I didn't want. I didn't want.
Someone has come up with a term for someone.
Don't refer to that man one more time, or he will appear.
Yeah, it's even worse than Candyman.
I'm sorry, Tim.
I'm not even happy with Tim because he's Canadian.
Furry, right? There needs to be a word for that now, like a comical word for Jordan Peterson's.
Yeah,
Fruit
it can't
face.
be fruitarians because that already exists. I think.
How about a fruity? That's it. A fruity. There you go. It's like a furry.
How would you say a like a combination between fruit and sexual? A fruactual.
Fruactual.
They're into people whose features look like fruit.
Fruit eroticism. Fruit eroticism.
There you go.
Oh,
We
my
have
God.
to insert the lobster in that somewhere.
Ooh, fruit lobster erotica. Now I'm just hungry.
Oh, that's so Rule 36.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm
Maybe
going to open up
a
Pornhub.
a crust sexual or something like that, because
Yeah. Crustacean, yeah, I was trying to think of a
Crustacean.
crustacean too.
I have a word for that. A fucking weirdo.
Yes. Well, that works. Total. Yeah.
Okay.
Of the incel MRA MGTOW movement, everybody, Jordan Pierce.
Stop saying his name, for fuck's sake.
Okay,
It's like Candyman or Bloody Mary.
Okay,
You close it. Yeah, don't anybody close the medicine cabinet door anytime soon because it'll be behind you.
Kermit.
Oh my God! I want to tell you guys this.
Interesting how the apple cheeks go. They're just because of the the thing, and with the other, and of course, everybody knows that.
It'll be Jordan Peterson. Wait, it'll be Jordan Peterson looking at you from the reflection in the mirror, saying, "That's not what I meant."
Oh no!
I was modding the chat the other day, and it had nothing to do about this at all. But these people showed up anyway, and the guy was talking about his his relationship ish. He just broke up with his longtime girlfriend, and he's dating again. And but he said no, hate. These people start saying, "Oh, I'm a MGTOW." I'm like, "Oh my God!" So I was like, I was gonna delete these messages. Get this away from here, because it's like this guy, his channel is like his job, right? So you can't have this stuff in there, because I don't think you two would like to have them there, so I just got rid of them. I didn't ban them, I just deleted the messages. I'm like, okay.
Imagine a party when those guys finally go their own way.
It's
Please go your own way.
What I keep picturing is a bunch of them going their own way down to the sea and magically turning into lobsters as they hit the water.
Swimming free.
Yeah. Now
I feel for them in my heart.
That's a Lovecraftian story I could get behind.
I couldn't realize that MGTOW are not men going their own way. They're just men who are lazy because they don't want to take the time and effort to go and get a woman and actually do what's necessary to actually get one, right, and treat her properly and all that other stuff, right? So yeah.
No, Tim, no, I think Chris is onto something. I think Jordan Peterson is the lobster pipe piper. He's going to lead them all into the sea and rule over them.
Peterson, he's Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants. That you know.
Have you seen that video where he says that the snakes that are intertwined are being drawn because?
Oh yeah.
Seriously, I think it's the only guy on earth who sees two snakes having sex and thinking he has anything to do with DNA. Because snakes do that when they bang. Okay.
They're
Yeah.
procreating for propagation of their species. That's all it really is, Peters. More or less,
Yeah.
anyway.
It's not
That's
DNA.
sad.
That's kind of like, aliens built the pyramids.
Oh, you know. He'll be on the History Channel any second now.
I mean, he says it's a Jungian, but Jung would be totally outraged if he listened to any of his bullshit.
Okay. Well, I have a chance to speak now. So I don't know what.
No, you don't. I don't.
my break was.
I'm trying to
We are
Jonathan,
Jonathan, babes.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I typed in lobster into Pornhub, but thankfully there's only 17 results when you type in lobster into Pornhub. But strangely enough,
only 17.
only 17. Strangely enough,
It's a very
3
niche
of them
niche.
are Jordan Peterson.
Oh my god.
But
Yeah, wait, are they just his videos of him like giving a lecture? Please say yes.
it's just his on Channel 4. It's just his Channel 4 interview, just like reposted
So
3
they're
times.
wanking to this Channel 4 interview.
Okay, Pornhub has a.
You have to take a picture of that and put that on Twitter. Like they are literally
Oh my god, that's
fans are
creepy.
wanking to Jordan Peterson poning women.
This doesn't surprise me because Pornhub has a safe for work tab. I don't know why it's safe for work on Pornhub, but there's a tab for it apparently.
Probably shouldn't go to Pornhub at all if you're ever at work. That's just my advice. But
Yeah, just general good employment practices.
Yeah.
Never
But
go to
funny-
Pornhub at work.
But funny enough, Kristi and Kevin Logan, if you're watching, he's not in the chat, so we can't say fuck you to Kevin. On
Oh,
Pornhub,
sure we can. Fuck
Poor
you.
Kevin.
Yes,
Sure, okay,
yeah. All right, fuck you, Kevin.
One
Everybody
small
come.
thing to say to you, and that is go fuck yourself.
Fuck you, Kevin.
so today, did anybody else see that? He put out a new Descent of the Manosphere.
I haven't watched it
Yes.
yet, but I'm looking forward
I
to
haven't
it.
had time either because I've been with you guys and with my student, right? That's since I woke up, basically.
I basically woke up too. But I type in fruit face into Pornhub, and there's like 1,600 results. but what's stranger is the relative like searches, including fruit roll up blowjob. And
Oh, that sounds very nice. I think I'll do that.
That's not something I needed to know.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do
sorry.
you even have you ever seen a fruit roll up?
I have to go again because I have another lesson now, so I didn't think it was going to last this long. But I'll see you guys next time.
That's what she said.
And on the true blowjob,
Hi, Tim.
you get to go. Keep that in mind with your student. No, probably not.
I bring the lewd to these hangouts. After all, I'm the guy with like some devices or products that are next to my desk. I'll keep
that-
it.
is that
Oh, no, mine's back there.
What?
Is that a
Yes, it is. It is a
flashlight?
flashlight.
Show me the bit where you put your dick in.
No.
I've never seen one in my life.
Okay,
I want to
no,
see one.
little off air. For the sake of the stream, in case it gets flagged, I'll do it off air. But I will say this: it's the alien model.
No, but I don't give a shit
Be
about
one of
that.
these
I'm
things.
just curious about how it's made. I don't want a demonstration or whatever. I just want to see what it
She
looks like.
just wants to see the other end.
It's just that it doesn't look that. It's just.
It's
just
some kind of foam then.
yeah, it's just a plastic. It's just like a soft plastic or something like that. That's like
Well,
yeah, it's a
that's
soft plastic.
disappointing.
I know, but don't worry.
Oh, the other end looks like a vagina.
This
Yes.
is the alien model, so it looks a little different.
Okay. I don't want to know.
But this is 1 of 5 I've had.
Wait. You can't go, show me the thing, show me this, I want to see this, and then go, no, I don't want to see that. You can't, you have to, like,
Yeah, I don't want to see the alien model. I mean,
I'm
I
through this
see.
end.
I have a regular model, though. This is the standard model.
oh, it's golden. It's pretty.
Yes. The case is, yes.
Oops.
I should not be on Hangouts if it devolves it like this.
Hey, you did that. Stop complaining.
I
Hey,
might have to
Like I said, I got mine here. I won't show it either, but
Yeah, don't worry. We're off the air. Nobody else is going to ever see this.
Okay, I have to bring this up. Don't worry, Lady Columbia. See, men do have sex toys. It's not a common thing amongst guys. Guys don't usually have sex toys for reasons and stuff like that. But there is sex toy products for males, and there's even one.
Oh my God, they should. They're so less annoying.
Yes, and so there's also like ones that that are electronic, and believe it or not, they can actually sync up to the adult erotica videos you're watching. Some of the videos, but not all of them.
Well, is that what the is that what the interactive icon in? What I'm told.
Yes, it is. That's
Pornhub. I don't know. I've never seen it.
So weird.
I've never seen the upper right-hand corner. Icon, so I don't know. I've been told.
Well, there's VR, and so there are some, not many, but there are some porn games for VR.
Okay, I will say something as an artist.
Okay.
Sex toys are fucking art. It's amazing.
Yes.
The creativity of the people who design those things, I'm amazed.
Yes.
And I want to officially go on the record saying that on YouTube, I've seen many channels where women review sex toys in a very sex positive way, not like an exploitative way.
Oh yeah, I've seen some.
Oh yes, definitely.
There's a lot of those videos. I don't remember seeing a lot of them for guys. So I think that this is a case where, yeah, why not have a little bit of equality here? And also, if there are toys out there for men, you guys can showcase them too.
Sure,
why
not?
I gotta say, Jonathan, I actually didn't know the other end screwed off until until just now. I've had this 3 years. I never noticed it before.
When people tell you to screw off, they're actually informing you of something that you ought to know about your own stuff.
It's advice.
I had to screw this off in order to clean it out because, well, yes.
I just take the piece out. I just take the piece out and sort of clean it.
Yeah, that's what I do too. But I decided to clean the case while I'm cleaning the stuff inside as well.
Is it dishwasher safe? That's what.
I have to look it up. Most sex toys are actually dishwasher safe, and I think some of them would actually say they're dishwasher safe. And so, yeah, that is not necessarily for the fleshlights and stuff like that, but for the toys and the vibrators, the lobsters. There are sex toys that are called lobsters, like the purple lobster, something like that.
Oh yes.
There we go again.
Wiggly worm and stuff like that. So yes, I mean, sure, yeah, those things are microwave. No, dishwasher safe, not microwave. What is It's to make it warm.
What are you doing with your hamster?
Don't put your Kristi in the microwave, please.
Who's still watching now? Remember, people, this hangout was titled "Remember the Second Civil War." Look at what the Second Civil War has evolved into.
Yeah, sex toy hygiene advice. That's great.
Yeah.
I do have products for that. Oh,
USA,
I have lube. You got to have lube.
USA.
You got to have lube. Lube should be on every nightstand, as sex with Emily has said.
Even if you don't have sex, you should have lube. Lube is magical.
Oh yes. Water-based lube.
Of course.
Is anybody monitoring the outside? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm stuff that's in my bag because I keep it with me for emergency sites.
Yeah.
Lube and condoms.
What is it? Emergency lube?
Emergency lube.
Emergency lube. Yeah, I think it's important to have emergency lube too.
And of course, my bag says trans, but
Nice.
I have been checking the chat, and nothing worthy to share from the chat, in my opinion, stuff like that.
Well,
there was some comments from earlier and stuff like that, but yeah.
What I was wondering is if I was thinking if there are any really dedicated manosphere trolls that were still hanging around. This might interest them. It's going to be the first thing they see.
I doubt
Yeah,
it.
go-
They
tell me
couldn't
more.
say honestly that they think feminists are prudes or whatever.
No, but I'm talking about the content of the equality for men's sexual toys.
Yeah.
That might actually be something that they would find. Oh wow, and maybe we could have educated a few of these into.
A fleshlight in every bedroom drawer, dresser drawer.
I have 5 of them.
Chicken in every pot.
Yeah, why?
Hey, Chris
Variety.
has emergency lube. I have that in my handbag. Just to say,
Oh, I've got one of
I
those
have
as
that
well.
in my purse. That should tell you everything you need to know about me.
I have to roll a plus 10 for take the G spot.
There we go. You think that's geeky? My son has a 120-sided die.
I have one too, but not in my purse. That one is in my purse, for fuck's sake. I don't know why I keep it in my purse, but it's like we never know. I might need a dice 20. So no, it's not a 20. It's a 10.
And for some reason,
go ahead, Tom. D120. Is that what you have? You have a D120?
No, I don't have D120s. I have several D6s. I have several D20s. I play Magic the Gathering, so I got a lot of like D20s are spin down dials for like I met from Magic Gathering sets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a 10, a 20, and 100.
How big is the 120 die? What size is it?
I don't remember. It's not as huge as you might. It's not like
it's big
size.
like big like that. But
yeah.
It's just the faces are very small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
smaller
not like
than a racquetball.
It's not like a baseball or a
A
tennis
squash ball?
I don't know what a squash ball is.
Smaller than a racquetball?
That's above my income level.
It's a little bit smaller and denser than a racquetball.
Again, above my income level.
Okay. Half the size of a tennis ball.
Yeah, about that.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, it's
Like
bigger than a
size?
golf ball. It's definitely bigger than a golf or ping pong ball.
Okay, from the chat. Okay, from the chat, 8DX Tom is in the chat. Is like, holy bonkers! I would try to like make some chat after I listened to some more of your fleshlight banter. and then Mike,
there are people in the chat yet? Wow, that's dedication.
Yes,
especially given the conversation we are having.
And then Mike Yukon figures the second Civil War is just a bunch of prudish SJWs that it would devolve into degenerate discussions about sex toys, menacing and trolls.
Shout out to the troll. Oh, by the way, I want to say in the chat that Kevin, I read in the chat that from the last happy hour that you guys had a discussion about having troll bingo.
Oh yeah.
Tom had some great suggestions about if somebody says a code word, everyone just would shout bingo at them. I strongly encourage that. It would really confuse.
That was somebody else. I was convincing. I was just watching all these people have fun with the trolls.
Yeah, it would be more fun than just try banning them.
Yeah, exactly. So no, someone had the idea, but you had a bunch of the really good code words like cuck and fisty and.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah, that way. Yeah, I just sort of codified some of them.
I think that should be a norm.
Yeah, like anytime someone makes the like argument ad vetus veum, everyone goes bingo.
Yeah,
or anything like that.
Yeah, no, we should tell them shut up, not bingo.
Well, it can be like their first warning. Play with them a little bit. Yeah, because Coach Red Pill was in that hangout.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy.
He showed up and then got bored because everyone was so civil.
Well, I don't know if for civil, but he had a real hard line for Kevin. He really wanted Kevin's attention.
What is it with all these men and their boner for Kevin? It's so fucking bizarre. Sargon is the same.
Beard. It's the beard.
That's a luscious beard that Kevin Logan has.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I ever have a tabby orange cat, I'm so calling it Kevin. I told him that, so
they're in the trap to drag this ball back into the sea.
A quick reminder, that's another reminder. There's a recent uploaded Kevin Logan Descent a Man Osphere episode for everyone to enjoy. So go over to Kevin Logan's channel if you haven't already.
Yeah, I saw
What
it.
was that one? What was that one?
Which one?
When was that?
You.
Like last week?
last one I saw was Darius.
No, it just went up and like right before we went on air. I saw it.
Oh,
So
Ram-
we've been up,
oh.
about 20
Well, I
minutes
have
before we went on
something
air.
to watch for
Ramsey
after.
Paul. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god.
He's a long time asshole.
Professional, you'd say.
Those nouveau.
I'm so thankful for the kitten Rory cats and the sheep interlude. Because
Yes.
those videos are hard to watch. Thank God for those interludes and for Kevin swearing like a sailor.
Yes.
8DX in the chat says Kevin is a beautiful potato, the most versatile vegetable with more hair and spunk than I've ever had. How dare you impugn his bonerificness? And I just want to say, do you mean spunk as in energy? I hope that's what you mean.
Potatoes are roots, not vegetables. Babe from the chat.
Yeah. Well, given the way we've
Have
been
you
talking
facts
lately,
straight?
it could go either way, Kristi.
After all, Kevin Logan did mention, hold on, I just came back. It was on the Bliss of Mankind birthday song. Hold on, I just came back, and what I heard was, oh, it's just protein, just drink it. That's a great out of context line just to say right there.
Kevin, if you ever watch that video, babe, you're 16 over 10. He knows what that means.
Okay.
I know what that means.
Oh, some secret coded language, some inside jokes going on here.
No, it's not a joke.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Yeah,
but
it's a
I'm
joke.
fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so he's
I've
here.
worked hard on doing a good Kevin. Now I have to figure out how to get my voice higher, and it's totally ruining that whole thing.
Thank you for listening and watching. Pip pip.
Pip pip.
Well, now we're just going to have him on so he can judge your impressions.
Why not? He's always up for a hangout. It doesn't matter. Even the World Cup is on.
Yeah, and I could tell him verbally to his face.
Yeah, you guys can get a go fuck yourself off. Get into it, you know.
Yeah, because it's nice to be able to type it, but it's he gets to say it out loud, and he gets to say it so many
Yeah,
times.
it's not the same.
I feel the need for swearing at Kevin to his face, because that would be so cool.
We're gonna have to. We have to get him some chicken first. All right. As soon as I'm finished with this, I'll get you some chicken.
Shut up and give me some chicken.
Yeah, you English-speaking people should stop trying to make the French accent.
Yes, we should all do that.
Even
I did Kevin, not Rory Cats.
Even Kevin isn't that good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. That it wouldn't have been a hangout without French smugness. And I so appreciate that.
He's doing it bad on purpose, I think, because he knows.
Yeah, I think so.
The chicken.
That's how you get out of when you're terrible. You just go, yeah, I know I'm bad. I'm being bad.
Yeah, well, it's the.
But there are a lot of bad French accents.
Once I asked Steve to respond to a question I asked him in the French accent. It was a disaster. He sounded like Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger. It was fucking amazing. So I can't give shit to Kevin. At least it sounds French.
Okay. Since we're talking about French accents now, I have to now quote from a Mel Brooks film, History of the World Part 1. We, the French, who are so poor, we don't even have our own language. Just this cheesy accent.
So there's a hierarchy. Steve
Speaking of my
Shies.
family.
So in terms of rank your French accents there, Leto. So Steve Shies, is he the bottom, or is there someone even worse than Steve?
Is Steve a bottom?
I haven't heard a lot of people try to do the French accents actually.
I won't attempt right now, just to like.
Oh, I think we should have a pre-audition before Kevin does it. We can all do our French accents, and she can tell us how shit we are.
French accent. Come in.
I think I'm just going to.
That's not bad, Tom. Actually.
Baguette, champagne.
I'm sorry.
Baguette, champagne.
It's like Kevin's fish called Wanda.
Baguette is an easy word. It's pronounced exactly the same.
Baguette, croissant, snail.
You're up, Jonathan.
For me, for doing an accent, it seems like it's much easier if I'm doing a script, because if I have to think about what I'm saying, then it takes away my mental energy to like.
You want me to say something?
Yeah, you can type something in the chat so that like you can then say it, because I was just like trying to pull up like quotes or something like that, or maybe like French poetry.
You say whatever in English with a French accent.
if I had to choose religion, the son as the universal giver of life would be God.
No.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, this means Leto, you get to do an accent for us too, so everyone gets a chance.
Hey, I'm already doing an accent. I've been doing an accent for 2 fucking hours now.
Well, later you have to try an American accent then.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, what's your impression of American talks like?
Okay. So if I say hello, friends, that's my regular accent. And if I want to do the Americans, hello, friends. No.
There's an H in that. You got to put an H there.
I know the difference in the words, like the word M-O-R-E, I say more, but I know the Americans say more. It's more at the back of the mouth, but it's difficult to do it. Even so with my denture now.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you might. Well, there's enough accents in the
But
States.
if you want, I can make absolutely no effort and have the worst French accent ever.
Go ahead, why not? That's the accent portion of the Hangout.
That's fucking difficult to do. When I was a teenager with a friend of mine, we liked to sing English songs with the French pronunciation.
Oh,
and it was salt and pepper, let's talk about sex. It was like, let's talk about sex, babe, let's talk about you and me.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's really difficult when you actually know how to speak the language.
Leto, you just reminded me of a wonderful moment that happened in a animated movie called Persianopolis, which is about like a French Iranian.
Oh, I saw that movie. It's amazing.
Yeah, that movie is great. The people, yes, there's the English dub, but no, go watch it in the French original language, because when that moment, it came out of nowhere. She just sang a song that's a popular American song, and me and my brothers just burst out laughing, and I think that was intended too. It's just
because songs you know them by the ear, so you sing what you hear. You don't sing the real words, so it sounds kind of okay. But doing it on purpose, like I just did, it's fucking difficult.
So yeah,
can you do a Southern accent, American Southern accent?
A Southern belle.
I'm
from Mobile, Alabama.
I know how to say
Jonathan, you are You
I
are the
have
worst.
say y'all, but that's the southern
Yeah,
accent is really hard to understand first and speak.
Well, a good practice. You know the White Stripes cover of Jolene.
I like that.
The Jolene.
Jolene. Yeah, that's a good
Oh, the
way to
the
tune
White
your
Stripes
ear.
did cover that song.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have to listen to. I like that
Yeah.
song. I'm not into
Yeah.
country, but that one
I'm
is good.
begging of you, please don't take my man.
Yeah, that one.
Oh
Makes
man,
sense.
man.
But I want later to judge my accent.
Oh yeah, you didn't do one.
But it's unfair because j'étudie le français. So I think my French accent is pretty okay.
Oh yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
told that I've had a pretty decent French accent. I don't massacre the pronunciations.
When you speak French, you mean?
Yeah, when yeah.
The only
Yeah,
French
we
I know
understand.
is. Oh, sorry. That was the only French I know is in Psycho Killer, because I cover the songs.
Oh, come on, everybody knows.
Ce soir-là,
that, yeah.
chacun a dit ce soir-là, violer son mon espoir, je me lance vers la gloire. Okay.
I have no idea what you just said, babe.
I know. It's
Probably,
he's using Montreal French, so.
yeah, I was
but
gonna
I
say it
imagine
could be Quebecois.
the band who sings that song is in French, yes? And
Yeah.
they pronounce it like that.
Yeah,
Quebecois.
So it's not your fault.
no.
But there's
I
always
know.
everybody knows voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Yeah. And if I was the one to say it, it's funny because when you sing, if I sing along with that song, I'm going to do the accent they do.
Let's hear it.
With the accent?
Yeah.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? And if I sing it in French, it's Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? It's not as good. It's bizarre.
It's more funky with the American accent.
Yeah.
Because of the way that you can overemphasize the voulez-vous. And you in French you don't always open your mouth so much to get that kind of ooh.
No.
Ooh, you know?
Especially for the ooh, we have, when I say ooh, look at my mouth is mostly closed.
Ooh. Well, Americans, we kind of over-exaggerate things like ooh or something like that.
Oh, Americans are mush mouths, you guys. When I had to do my intensive course in German, my jaw would be tired because the muscles in my cheeks would be tired from having to actually pronounce all the letters in the words I was speaking clearly.
I need to do that in general because like I have that mush mouth problem or the mother mouth problem in drama class.
I can help you solve that. You need to get into Hamilton. And you need to start reciting the lines.
I should be in Hamilton anyway, something like that. That's how like some voice actors also prep or like a warm up and before they go into the studio to like voice and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, Jonathan, you speak super quick too, and I think it doesn't help. Tim has the same issue. Is even worse than you on this quickness. He really talks super fast.
But you can be quick and clear. And actually, I use Hamilton before I do a happy hour to warm up.
What I'm saying is, it doesn't help if you have a tendency to do that. To talk fast doesn't help.
Yeah,
well, if I could, sorry, can I just show a little from a little? I don't think it's a 16 lines, but from Hamilton.
Okay, sure.
It's very, very, very fast. Yeah. The battering down the battery, check the damages. We gotta stop them and rob them of their advantages. Let's take a stand with the stamina God has granted us. Hamilton won't abandon ship. Yo, let's steal their cannons.
Yeah.
I think you can be fast and clear.
Okay, but that's still slower than Tim speaking, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but having to actually pronounce the words in order to hear them clearly, if you overemphasize it before I go on air, then when I'm relaxed, I actually do it more naturally, but the words still stop more often.
Well,
I think learning another language helps too.
There's
Can
that.
I,
Yeah, I can.
can I tell you a musician secret?
Yeah,
I shouldn't say it out loud, but we actually warm up with Freebird. That is a very common thing to warm up to because it's such it moves your fingers just right. It's a very easy song to play, and we all know it, even though everybody shouts Freebird out.
I don't
We all
know
know
it.
how to play it. We all know.
Song.
Well, the musicians, I mean, all the musicians know how to play it. And we'll play it, but
I'm a musician!
Just not for you.
Well, just
We'll
do the
play,
chorus
but not
bit.
for you.
She might recognize it from a movie
If
or
I
something.
leave here
No.
tomorrow-
If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Yeah, I mean, that's.
I don't think it's that known in France.
Yeah,
No,
definitely
but
not,
it's
This is an
it's
amazingly
American thing.
musical show, you guys. This has been great.
But yeah, we play Freebird and Stairway and those things.
Oh,
to warm
Stairway, I
up.
know.
And you never get to hear it because we won't play it for you. So like an inside joke almost at this point.
There was that great scene I still remember from Wayne's World when they go into
Exactly.
No Stairway?
Yeah,
No
exactly.
Stairway.
Denied.
You are not there is a sign in our Guitar Center which says that as well.
Yeah, we often warm
And
up
it's an
to that with
unspoken
my
rule.
brother because I can't play the guitar anymore with the arthritis, but my brother plays and I sing. So we like to play Stairway and Nothing Else Matters to warm up.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's a really good song to warm up to if you're doing a lot of finger picking.
My brother is a crazy guitarist. The guy learned to do some Django Reinhardt on the guitar, and he bought he bought a guitar with the plastic cords, strings, because it was too easy on the on the other one. My brother he's been playing guitar for almost 30 years now, and is only slowing down now because it's learning violin.
It's so great when someone can just pick up an instrument and just be your entertainment for free at a party.
Oh yeah, he's amazing with that. And if he plays, I have to sing. I have to. I can not sing.
It was funny. The last time I was in, not the last time, but the one time before that, when I was in Michigan, for an impromptu family gathering, essentially, like the one family reunion I've been to. My cousin was upstairs on the piano, and then was like, "Wait a minute, I recognize this song." Mama just killed a man, and then but that's no, she already passed that part. Oh, okay, but she was playing Bohemian Rhapsody, and then then I got upstairs, and then she went to the part went dun 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 dun, and I couldn't help myself. I was just like, I see a little silhouette of a man, and my younger friend, and she was crying out. She was like, no, I don't know this part too well. Don't sing along with me, please.
It's the best part of the song.
Exactly. That's when the apparatus comes in. Maybe we should just warm up with that.
I like innuendo better though.
It actually it's really hard on the voice to do that. You want something that's right in the mid range to warm up with, because otherwise you get
no Bohemian Rhapsody to warm up.
I've hurt my voice before going on stage, and it's like the whole time.
Yeah, my voice is higher pitched than you, so I think I can get away with higher pitched songs than you can.
Let's just stick to body language. And with that awesome bass line that it has.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the pooper of the party. It's been 2.5 hours. And I'm proud of myself that I got this far.
Yeah, you rock, Tom.
Huh?
You rock.
I was saying you rock. Oh my God.
I've never been to Iraq.
Fuck off, babe. Seriously, go to sleep.
I'm sorry. You see, I'm
Yeah,
tired. My
I
jokes are
know.
bad. My jokes are bad. And I got to leave because otherwise I'll fall asleep here, and that would be.
Well, Mariana also fell asleep. So
yeah, I
you wouldn't
know,
be
but she had the
first in
good grace to wake up and leave. So I'm gonna leave before I actually nod off entirely. So
Well,
this is a lot of fun. Been having a good time.
We basically kind of did the post hangout without actually going off air.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well,
But
thank you.
You guys go ahead.
Thank you for everything, Tom. This last month, you've been. I love you. You've been wonderful.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Tom is awesome.
I appreciate that. I don't understand why I've done anything that was any
shut up! I
special
go
or
to sleep
interesting.
already, old man.
You gave Chris words of encouragement. That's what you did.
That's what decent people do. I don't know. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna go.
Oh, Tom is just humble.
Okay. Fuck you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And with that, I only have one thing left to say. Go fuck yourself.
Okay, Tom, 8DX in chat. So, Kristi, this last hour was hot air? No thanks for the hangout I saw.
We hope you enjoyed it. Sex talk and all,
Still
sex toy
people
talk.
watching us right now.
Hey, I found out something new, so I'm happy.
All right, guys. Well, I think 2.5 hours is probably a good amount of time to stop. So I'm going to hit stop broadcast. But yes, just as always, thanks to my patrons. If you guys want to join, you can join us once a month for as little as $1 a month by contributing to my Patreon and the Resistance Fund at the same time. Links for that should be in the description box below. But otherwise, all that's left to be said is that my patrons have been awesome. People in the chat have been pretty cool. And the people who are the patrons who aren't here are also awesome. So
yes,
do you guys want to say anything
awesome.
before you leave? Want to shout anything out? Some good news or a promo?
Oh, I have something.
Okay.
Today, it's 1 year I haven't smoked a cigarette.
I saw that. Congratulations. Yay. Wow. 1 year ago, did you feel like, I guess a year ago we probably would have felt like you weren't sure if you're going to make it, and you did.
Actually, I didn't think about it that much. It's because of that.
Yeah, the vaping. Are you how much nicotine? Yeah, how much?
Not a lot. The least amount possible.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm trying to go nicotine free without stopping altogether, but it's a difficult step.
And Tom XCX in the chat just says, "Oh shit!" With a cig in his hand. Congratulations! So Tom XCX, think about vaping and go with like a little nicotine as possible. You definitely are not going to smoke any of all of the other carcinogens that are in a cigarette, as opposed to like just like nicotine vaping. So there's that. And it's the vaping. Little can like say, and Tom can say as well, that like you are fiddling something with your hands. So like that kind of mannerism that you're used to.
And it smells so good.
Yes, I actually had vape before. I vaped with like cannabis oil actually before. I'll end the hangout with this. I got high for like the first time, like in the month of May. That was a hell of an experience.
I actually
Congratulations! Yay!
I have a non-trans related actually good stuff that happened this month. My new band, Suspicious Human, has played their first show, and it rocked it. It was really great. And at the same time, I got invited to be the permanent lead guitarist for another band called Venus to Creature, which is a queercore band, which I'm really happy about. And both of them feature my best friend on keyboards, so we get to hang out together a lot, which is
yay!
That's
and
great.
So writing and music are now my full-time job.
Wow.
Yay!
Fabulous. Congrats.
So,
Wow. Your life has really changed.
yes. By golly.
All right. So then that's everyone, right?
I will promote
Minus you.
I'll promote my new video. I put up a review last night for my review of the movie Sorry to Bother You. I absolutely love that movie, and it's the Boot Riley, who's a political activist apparently and a hip hop artist as well, made a political statement with that excellent debut of his video. My review is up. It's spoiler free, so go watch it and see Sorry to Bother You if you can. Definitely, that's it.
All right. So with that, then, goodbye for me and goodbye for my patrons. So say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
They did the
I'm doing
bit.
Kevin Logan voice. Goodbye, everyone. Pip pip.
Go fuck yourself, chat.
And now we're going to be okay. Now I'm really going to hit stop.